Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 2, Diane Mason. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Private Walter Henry Mara, whose story will be told shortly. We also warmly welcome the members of the Sings Social Motorcycle Club Australia, who have ridden here from Glenwood, New South Wales, to raise awareness and pay tribute to the brave Sikh soldiers who served alongside the Anzacs from August 1914 onwards. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Walter Henry Mara. Walter Mara was born on the 7th of November 1888 at Kanawi Station in South Australia. He was one of 12 children born to Joseph and Sarah Mara and received his education in nearby Jamestown alongside his siblings. In his youth, Walter worked at the local flour mill before moving to Broken Hill with his brother Spencer, where they worked in the South Blocks mine. Walter Mara was among the first Australians to volunteer, enlisting in the Australian Imperial Force on the 5th of September 1914. He joined the newly raised 12th Battalion, which consisted of a mix of West Australian, Tasmanian and South Australian recruits. After a short period of training in Australia, Private Mara embarked from Hobart on board the troop ship Geelong on the 20th of October 1914. Private Mara reached Egypt in early December and started further training with his battalion and other new recruits before they were sent to Gallipoli. Mara's battalion was among the first to reach the shores of Gallipoli at the infamous landing on the 25th of April 1915. His comrade, Sergeant Harry Webber, recalled the 12th Battalion's experience. We had been given hot cocoa about an hour before we landed. One of the destroyers was towing 3 rowboats on each side of her. The word was passed down for the crews to get into the boats, which they did. When we stopped at dawn, we came under the enemy's fire, which consisted of shrapnel, machine gun and rifle. A number were shot before they reached the shore, which was only about 100 yards away. Private Mara's battalion was instrumental in establishing and defending the Allies' front lines at Gallipoli before entering a relatively quiet period in the front lines, which was characterised by occasional shelling and rifle fire, as well as shortages of water and rations. In the months after landing, Mara's comrades noticed that he did not seem himself, observing that he was withdrawn and often refused to eat. Private Driscoll recalled that Mara appeared troubled in his mind and often sat up for half an hour or so at a stretch without speaking and looking straight before him. On the afternoon of the 9th of June, Private Walter Mara was found dead in his dugout, a rifle beside his body. A court of inquiry was assembled the same day to investigate the circumstances surrounding his death. Several witnesses to Mara's death were called upon, including Private William Evans, who stated, "At about 12:15 p.m. on the 9th of June 1915, I took some tea to Private Mara in his dugout. About half an hour afterwards, I took him some fried onions, which he refused to have. I then left him and went and had my dinner. At about 1:15 p.m, I was washing up my dinner dishes about 20 yards away, and I noticed Private Mara wriggling about under his blanket. About 5 to 10 minutes after this, I again visited Private Mara and inquired how he was, and he said, "All right, how are you, Bill?" He pulled the blanket up over his face, and as he did not seem inclined to talk, I walked away up the hill. When I was about 30 or 40 yards away, I heard a shot. I heard from the crowd that Private Mara was dead. Based on the physical evidence and the testimony of witnesses, military officials determined that Private Walter Mara died of self-inflicted wounds He was buried at Shrapnel Valley Cemetery, near where he fell, aged just 27. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Walter Henry Mara, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. In the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. And we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.